A parasite walks the streets of New Orleans, Louisiana. However, this parasite isn't your common liar, begging for money to buy alcohol or cigarettes. No, this loser is someone more dangerous, a serial killer. In the early 1990s, approximately 8 women were brutally killed in the French Quarter and the surrounding area of New Orleans. To date, there have been suspected individuals that could have been the killer, but no one has been formally charged and punished for the killings of these women. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse. Join me for another installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary. In this installment, we'll be looking at the case of the New Orleans serial killer. The number is 100. You're probably wondering to yourself, Jeff, what are you talking about 100? 100 is the number that the FBI believes of possible serial killers that are active in the United States at any given time. It's kind of scary if you ask me. Uh, yeah, the fact is, a coworker could be a serial killer. Hell, your next door neighbor could be a serial killer. The postal worker could be a serial killer. It's really kind of eye opening if you think about it. But the sad thing is, ladies and gentlemen, the serial killer in this case has not been located, and they have not been forced to pay the price for their deeds. Hopefully, pretty soon that could change. But before we get on with that, let's look at the two promos that were basically part of this case. What we have here first is what I call the pre-show promo. It's what was showed just before the show started. So here it is right now.
In New Orleans, a brutal serial killer has apparently taken the lives of several young women. Police need your help before he strikes again.
That was the pre-show promo. Basically, it's like I said, it's right before the opening credits would start. And here's what I call the pre-case promo. The pre-case promo is what would normally show at the end of one case to let the people know what should be coming up next.
Next, a serial killer may be stalking the streets of New Orleans.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of what you can expect in this installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary. Join me as we get ready to watch that case. Let's get this started, ladies and gentlemen. I got my headphones right here. Let's get the video loaded up. Boom, there we go. 3, 2, 1.
New Orleans, home of the Mardi Gras.
Okay, little known fact, I'm not really much of a party person. If somebody invited me, I'd probably go, but I'd be the one that would probably be like in the corner watching. I like the idea of Mardi Gras, I do, but do I ever view myself going down there? No, not really. But hey, if people are having fun, let them have fun. It's kind of sad that, things like Mardi Gras have to be kind of overshadowed by a serial killer. You should just go to a party and, just have fun. You shouldn't have to worry about, oh my God, if I'm going to go to this party, am I going to run a risk of actually being killed? It should not work like that.
City's heartbeat is its raucous French Quarter, where great music, street celebrations, and Cajun cooking sometimes overshadow a more unsavory side of the city. August 4th, 1991. Across the Mississippi River from the French Quarter, a lone recycler gleaned what he could along a narrow, deserted city road, often used illegally as a dump site.
They call them recyclers. Here in Washington, we basically call them dumpster divers, but then again, there isn't really a dumpster here. But basically, it's the same kind of thing. You have dumpster divers that are just basically getting the empty cans and everything.
He had no idea he was about to launch one of the city's most complex murder investigations. The body was identified as 17-year-old Danielle Britton, who lived nearby with her mother. She had been strangled and possibly raped approximately 12 hours earlier. At first glance, the murder of Danielle Britton seemed an isolated incident, but the reality...
I think that's a problem that we have. I don't think murder should be seen as an isolated incident. I think it should be something that should be given the highest priority. And when they say something like isolated incident, it makes it kind of, to me at least, it makes it sound like that they're kind of taking away the importance of what happened. It's like when a person steals your car and they're like, oh, it's just another auto theft. Do you just want to be seen as just another auto theft, or do you want to be like, hey, Joe Smith, his car was just stolen, you know? To me, that's how I kind of feel. I feel that sometimes people get kind of just that what happens to them is kind of diminished a little bit.
was far more sinister. Danielle Britton may have been the victim of a serial killer who preys on women he believes are prostitutes. By some chilling estimates.
And the thing is that this killer believes that they're prostitutes. There's no proof, and even if she was a prostitute, who are they to say, or who are they to basically dole out their form of dark justice, basically? You know, like, yeah, prostitution's against the law, but who are you to literally say it's my right to kill that person? Yeah, like, no, that's not right. That's not right. That's bogus.
More than 100 serial killers roam the streets of America.
See, I told you. Thank you, Robert Stack. I said 100, but he said more than 100. But the number is roughly 100, though, you know. But yeah, so like I said, it could be literally anybody. It could be your neighbor. It could be your best friend. Your best friend could start out slaughtering hamsters, and that they end up working from hamsters to dogs, from dogs to horses, from horses to humans. You know, it's something you really got. It's kind of really startling, I guess you could say.
At any given moment, police are usually left to gather clues only from the silent testimony of gruesome crime scenes. But the New Orleans...
And that's why, like, this is why this killer kind of dumped the bodies, you know, a little bit out of the way and everything. It's that way it would take a little bit more time to locate these people. If it wasn't for the recycler or dumpster diver, or whatever name your area uses for these types of people, if it wasn't for that individual, that body could have been there for days before it was actually located.
Case would be different. Just 10 minutes into the investigation of Danielle Britton's murder, Detective Elizabeth Wigginton had her first inkling that she was dealing with a serial killer.
I don't know if it means anything or not, but about 2 weeks ago...
A man approached me regarding an attack of a woman which had occurred approximately 2 weeks earlier. At this time, I realized that there was a possibility that this attack and the murder of Danielle Britton could be connected somehow, with one striking...
Okay, me just being me, I'm a very skeptical person. I'm a skeptical person. I look at everything. One could say I'm even very paranoid. Anyway, I'm looking at this guy, not the actor, because that's all these people are, you know, in the reenactments. A lot of them are just actors. But I'm looking at the actor or the character, basically. And I'm thinking, why is this guy coming up to the police officer telling the police officer about the previous attack? If anything, the police would already know about it. The individual officer may not know, but there was most likely already a report. Why is this guy the one that's coming up and, pointing, shining a light on this previous case? And it kind of has me scratching my paranoid head. It has me scratching my head thinking, like, okay, what if this guy is actually, more involved than what he's leading on?
Difference that this victim survived her attack.
It's more scary than anything because I did realize that he assumed that I was dead and all.
Okay, I'm going to turn off the filter really quick so you guys can see here. I did not realize it until I was rewatching this case yesterday prior to starting recording today. I'm looking at this lady. This is the only survivor of the serial killer, and her voice was actually her throat was actually damaged during the attack. I didn't realize until I was watching this video last night or yesterday, and it dawned on me she's not facing the camera. Now you're probably going to wonder to yourself, Jeff, how do you know she's not facing the camera? If you look at her hair, when she turns her head, to the left or right, you'll see that the back of her hair, it leaves like a certain outline. You can tell by like distance wise, hair that's in the back from hair that's in the front. When she turns her head a certain way, you will see that it's actually closer to the camera than it should be. So she's actually not even looking at the camera. And they've done a lot of interviews with people in silhouette, victims and everything. I think this is the first, if not the only time that I recall that the victim was actually not facing the camera when they were in silhouette. I'm not sure if this was, due to her request. Maybe it was, whoever would whoever was, like the film crew, whoever was in control of this segment. It could have been their decision, but it just kind of strikes me weird that she is actually talking. That she's not facing the camera. Okay, let's do this. There you go.
To leave me there.
The surviving victim, whom we will call Brenda, had her voice permanently damaged in a strangulation attempt. Police believe she was attacked by the same man who killed Danielle Britton.
Brenda, I need for you to tell me in as detail as possible what happened that night.
When interviewed by Detective Wigginton, Brenda was able to recall the trauma in minute detail.
I was at my house and I decided that I wanted to go and visit a friend of mine. So I walked up Merrill Street and I noticed that a car was following me. So the man in the car got side by side with me as I was walking and asked me where I was going.
I'm just going a few blocks down. I'm okay.
Okay, so now to those who never watched Unsolved Mysteries or who are slowly getting introduced to Unsolved Mysteries, the way that this show goes is that basically that they'll hear of a case. For example, say the New Orleans serial killer. They will then send out producers and agents and everything, and they will interview. They will interview the players in the case, basically. And Brenda here, they'll interview her. They got her testimony, and then they use the testimony to develop the script and for the reenactment, basically. So basically, I just had to give a little bit of background about how that is. If I had a daughter, I would have taught her literally, like, if a car comes up and they're starting to talk like this guy is, just tell them no thank you and continue on. And you have to literally just be kind of stone cold when you're dealing with people. When I come home after a long day's work, there'll be times I'm heading home and I'll have the people like, hey, I'm down on my luck. Can I have some money to get a drink? Can I have some money to get a cigarette? Can I get some money for gas? And as much as you can if you want to, but if you decide not to, you have to literally kind of just have a hard voice, but like, no. Because if they detect any sort of hesitation, they will pounce. And that's kind of like what this guy did. He pounced. And it could be because he's done this a lot. He knows what he's doing. But the fact is she kept engaging with the guy. She should have just said, no, and kept walking. But because she's a nice person, he was able to pounce on that kindness.
And I kept on walking, and he kept on insisting that he could give me a ride to wherever I was going. And the car stopped, and before I knew it, the man grabbed me.
This is also where I would also teach my child, have her learn self-defense and everything. And Washington State, you can also get, every state you can. But I'd also, once she got old enough to legally carry a firearm, I would have her carrying that firearm.
Put me into the car.
What are you doing?
Despite Brenda's protests, the man drove about a half a mile past her friend's house to the same deserted city road where Danielle Britton's body would be found 2 weeks later.
I don't know why she did not fight back. You know, maybe she's not a confrontational kind of person, but she was already pulled into that car. She was already pulled into that car. I don't understand why she was not resisting. She should have literally been fighting tooth and nail. A guy literally grabbed her, pulled her into his car, and started driving away. To me, if that's not a warning, that I don't know what is. You know.
What are you doing?
He got on top of me and began to choke me. He looked at me, and I looked at him, and I realized this man was trying to kill me.
Okay, here, hold on. Let me turn off the thing real quickly. Okay, right there, you can see her hair is kind of, her head is turned. You can see how like the tip of her hair, it's actually closer to the camera. That's why I say that she's, you know, the back of her head was, you know, she's not facing the camera. But anyway, that's just something that I've noticed, you know, and everything.
So, I tried to fight him off, but I really couldn't. I didn't have any strength.
Yeah, the minute that or that he was on top of her, choking her, you already knew that was kind of the end for her. Thankfully, she survived this encounter. You know, she survived where other ladies did not. I still don't understand why she was not resisting when she was pulled into the car. You know, nowadays, if you even look at a person the wrong way, people will scream. Back then, it could be maybe it was a sign of the times, I guess. But still, the fact that she didn't offer any real resistance. The minute that he got out the door and out of the car and grabbed her, she should have just been screaming. She should have been screaming like a fucking harpy, you know.
The killer strangled Brenda with his bare hands, stripped off her clothes, and dumped her by the side of the road.
Okay, he stripped off her clothes, but it doesn't say if she was a victim of assault or anything. So I'm wondering, you know, if he didn't, you know, assault her in a sexual manner, but he stripped her. Could it be that he has just basically, well, all crimes against, you know, a specific gender, it's due to a hatred of that gender, in my opinion. Could it be that he just hates that gender, and it isn't so much a control thing, you know, regarding sex? Could it be that he just has such a low view of them, for example, that he believes that they're not worthy of having clothing and stuff?
6 hours later, shortly after dawn.
Oh, hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Oh God, hold on. Let me pause. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot the lighting schedule is set to go off at 8 a.m. Normally I'd be at work at this time, but since it's Martin Luther King Day, I have today off, and I forgot that my lights are on schedule. Okay, let's continue on.
Brenda awoke to find herself covered with garbage and discarded tires.
And I think that he did that. I think that he covered her in garbage, not only to hide the body, but basically because he views her as garbage. To me, stripping somebody of their clothing, that's like that he wants to inflict the most humiliation. People view clothing as like a way, you know, as something that, you know, it's part of them. It's What's the best way I could say it? It adds humility and everything, you know. It's something that adds security. But if you literally pull off, you know, their clothing and everything, it leaves them bare, makes them embarrassed and everything. I think he did that because he just does not like females. I don't think it's an issue for sexual gratification, because they don't mention anything about sexual assault regarding what happened to Brenda here. I think it's more just his way of controlling her, and that by putting her with garbage, he says, you know, you are garbage, therefore I'm going to put you with garbage.
Finding Brenda had certainly been a lucky break in this case. We had now a live victim who could identify an attacker who could be responsible for the murder of Danielle Britton. I knew this guy was out there stalking his victims. He was stalking women, intending to kill them, and I was unable to come up with a suspect. I had no idea it was going to get worse.
Well, that's the thing. If they believe that it's a serial killers all they never totally stop. There may be times that they go dormant, like say with the BTK killer. I think that's the best example. That there'll be times of dormancy that they don't do anything, but the urge to apply what I call their dark craft, basically, the urge is always there. The urge is always there. And, you know, sooner or later, it may be a week, a month, a year, 10 years later. However, they will begin to apply their craft again. So yeah, it's only going to get worse. They never die down, basically.
On September 22nd, 1991, the killer claimed his third victim, Charlene Price, dumping her body within 1 mile of the spot where Danielle Britton was found. On December 14th, a fourth victim, as yet unidentified, was found in the same vicinity.
The fact that they are all in the same vicinity, it makes me think that this is like, not only is it his hunting grounds, but I would say that he lives somewhere within this boundary. And he most likely has done this to the point that he feels extremely comfortable to dump them in this area and possibly live with, I would say he lives within, 10 to 20 miles of this hunting ground, basically.
This is a sketch of the woman who was in her early 20s. She was 5 feet 2 inches tall, weighed 125 pounds, and had protruding front teeth.
Did you touch anything when you got here?
2.5 weeks later, on January 4th, 1992, the killer struck yet again. The nude body of 29-year-old Lydia Madison was found in an illegal dump site under the Greater New Orleans Bridge, 8 blocks from police headquarters and 400 yards from the Superdome.
This killer, I think he's getting more brave or brazen, whatever the right word is. I think he's feeling more confident to be that, to dump a body that close to a police station. To me, that says that this guy doesn't fear the police, which is actually very fucking scary. If you don't have that fear of the police, you don't have that fear of the law, you don't have that fear of punishment or anything, I feel that can unlock a person's potential to do almost anything. It reminds me of that case, the Torso Slayer. I haven't covered that case yet, but if you're a watcher of Unsolved Mysteries, you know what the Torso Slayer case is. Towards the end of the Torso Slayer, the slayings, he was literally leaving the bodies, a body, because I'm not sure exactly how many, because they only mentioned one. But the killer literally left the body nearly under the window of Elliot Ness. To me, if that doesn't say, hey, I don't fear you. Not only do I not fear you, I'm bringing them literally to your doorstep. That's something to be very fucking scared of.
Police soon learned that 3 other bodies had been found in a nearby jurisdiction which borders New Orleans, bringing the total number of victims to 8.
These bodies closely resembled bodies found in our investigation.
Now, I'm not sure if you noticed. Did you notice one commonality? They were all black females. Could this be a person? Could this be, dude? I don't really want to delve into this because I don't like to think that every case that involves a skin color, I don't want to go down the whole road of it being a racial issue because of the fact that we don't know why the killer did it. The killer's never been apprehended. To kind of say, oh, it's a race related issue, we don't know that for sure until the killer is apprehended and we can ascertain the reason. But the fact that every person that they showed here was black, that's the way it's going to kind of go. People are going to start wondering, was this, a racial issue? It is kind of strange, though, like, I'm pretty sure that there is more than just black people in New Orleans.
In the previous months, leading me to believe that the same killer may be responsible for all these victims.
7 of the 8 women were found within a 3-mile radius, all but one on the west bank of the Mississippi. The killer has struck once a month, always strangling his victims, always leaving them nude, face down, in or near illegal dump sites.
Once a month, I would see if the killings, if the time of their death, if it was within, like, say, the same amount of time. Let's say all the deaths were, like, say, on roughly the same date at 11 p.m. Maybe we're dealing with somebody who has God, like that they are driven, that they have a schedule. It's like, okay, today is the 25th, it is 11 p.m. I have to go do this. Maybe it's like an obsession, or they're being, like, kind of like pulled to do it on a specific day at a specific time, because they're saying that it literally was like every month apart. So it makes me wonder if they have some sort of compulsion to do it on a specific day.
These women have had difficult lives. They're in vulnerable positions and are at risk to becoming statistics of murders and rapes. I certainly can't do anything about helping them at this point other than trying to find out who killed these victims. And I'm determined to get this guy.
I'm still afraid. I don't run the street at all anymore. I don't go anywhere unless it's to church, or if I go to the stores with my mother.
That tells you what kind of impact this individual had on Brenda. It's to the point, like, now this was recorded, I think it was like recorded in 1992 or 1991. So it's been a few decades. She if she's still alive, who knows? Hopefully she may have gotten into a frame of mind where she can feel comfortable to go back outside. But the fact is, at that time, she was so paralyzed that she could not really do anything without having people with her. That tells you what kind of fear that this person can inflict on people.
Somebody accomplished me, because I still don't know where this man is. And I know he knows me just like as well as I know him. So I'm still very much afraid. If I'm at home, I stay locked up unless someone else is in the house with me. It's more now like I'm living in fear every minute or every second of the day.
On the night she was murdered, Danielle Britton was seen with a suspect outside a bar called Neva's Rendezvous. The man was driving a blue late model Buick Regal or Monte Carlo.
Okay, so that was the case of the New Orleans serial killer. Join me as we go to the Unsolved Mysteries Wiki to see if there's been any further updates. This is the portion of the video where I go to the Unsolved Mysteries Wiki to see if there's been any updates. So let's do that right now, shall we? So let's do this. Okay. And to those who are curious, I always post a link to the Unsolved Mysteries Wiki case in the description, so you can always check it there if you would like. Okay, so the case is in Louisiana. It's the years were 1991, 1992, and then it has 4 other I'm guessing tags or whatever you want to call them. We have murder, attempted murder, serial killer, and wanted. Okay, the person's name is unknown. There are no known or none known aliases. The individual is wanted for murder, attempted murder, and abduction, and they've been missing since October 1992. So here is a composite of one of the individual possible individuals, and then here's is this the same one? Okay, yeah. And then we have some of the victims, and that's the Jane Doe. I'm not sure. Okay, Lydia Madison, another victim. And then here is basically the 7 locations where the people were, their remains were found, basically. Okay, so we already know the case details, so I'm going to kind of scroll through that. Extra notes. This case first aired on the October 21st, 1992 episode of Unsolved Mysteries. The surviving victim was given the name Brenda and filmed in silhouette to protect her family. Okay, I'm going to read the results, see if there's been any further developments than we know from the televised broadcast. Results. Wanted. In mid-October 1992, Brenda spotted the man she believed was her attacker in a grocery store parking lot in Algiers. Hold on, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. When he saw that she recognized him, he fled the area. From 1992 to 1995, at least 18 more women were killed in the New Orleans area. So basically, this exploded by 10 additional individuals since the broadcast. Local police and the FBI suspect that they may have that. Hold on. Local police and the FBI suspect that it should be. I think it should be there. May have been have also been victims of the same killer. In May 1995, New Orleans police and the FBI formed a task force to investigate the murders. In August, they announced that Victor Grant, a New Orleans police officer, was a suspect in this case. Is that this person? Okay, so this person here is Victor Grant, and he is the one that they believe was a suspect in the case. This could make sense, if it is a police officer that's doing the killings, the police officer would have firsthand knowledge and understand how the police would handle this sort of thing. And if it is a police officer that killed these ladies, then it's a gross, it's a gross miscarriage of justice, considering that he is a police officer killing people that he is sworn to serve and protect. Specifically, he was suspected in the April 1995 murders of Karen Ivester and Sharon Robinson, who were believed to have been murdered on the same night by the same killer. A shoe print tread next to Karen's body matched Sharon's shoe. Sharon was Grant's ex-girlfriend, and she previously claimed that he had abused her. Karen was a friend of hers, and he reportedly held a grudge against her. He also matched the suspect's sketch that was based on Brenda's description. I'm wondering if they ever did a police lineup, a criminal lineup or whatever you call it, and they had that police officer in there. He has never been charged, and some believe that members of the police department may have covered up his involvement because he was a fellow officer. That does not surprise me at all. There have been several cases on Unsolved Mysteries of corrupt police officers. In August 1996, he was dismissed from the force. Okay, now they should have really investigated this guy. He's no longer a police officer. Investigate him. Bring him in. Put him to the grill. See what he fucking knows. In March 1998, another suspect, a former taxi driver named Russell Elwood, was arrested and charged with second-degree murder in the cases of Cheryl Lewis and Dolores Mack. Two of the suspected victims were found murdered in February. Well, hold on. Two of the suspected. Okay, well, were found murdered in February 1993. Police noted that he was suspected in at least 9 of the murders. He became a suspect in 1994 after he was found hanging. Oh, sorry, I thought they were going to originally say that he was hanging. He was hanging around the area where Cheryl and Dolores's bodies were found. In the past, he had made several statements alluding to the fact that he had murdered prostitutes while in jail on unrelated charges. Why would you, even if he did not kill the people, because you don't know until, he's brought to court and all the evidence is provided. Why would you still say something like that, even if you didn't do it? That is suspicious as fuck. See here, hold on. He described in graphic detail how he drugged and choked prostitutes before dragging their naked bodies away. He later confessed to an investigator that he had taken a black female and placed her in the water. Elwood's ex-girlfriend testified that he had taken her to see 2 of his victims' bodies. Several prostitutes testified that he had given them drugs, then attacked them. These attacks took place around the time of the murder. Several witnesses reported seeing him with Cheryl several times prior to her murder. However, investigators later discovered that he was in Ohio at the time of Dolores's murder, so the charges in that case were dropped. In 1999, he was convicted of Cheryl's murder and sentenced to life in prison. Since he is Caucasian, he is not believed to have been involved in some of the murders. Okay, so we have a guy who apparently did kill people, but he is not the serial killer. Okay. Gant remains a suspect in several of the murders, but he has not been charged. As of 2016, investigators have been working on testing evidence at the crime scenes for DNA. Investigators also believe that another suspect in the murders may still be out there who has never been identified. This goes back to what I originally said. 100 serial killers are possibly walking the streets at any time. Okay, we have a whole bunch of links here, which you can always find if you would like, or click on if you would like. There is actually no find a grave link that I am seeing here. So, yeah, so that basically, that is it for this portion of the video. When I return, I will be back with or in the next segment, I guess you could say. In the next segment, I will be here with the episode information. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back. Okay. Time for the episode information. Basically, this is where I go. I'm basically still on the Unsolved Mysteries wiki, and we are going to look up the episode information to see like what else was there that was part of this episode of Unsolved Mysteries. So this was part of the October 21st, 1992 episode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the episodes. Let's see. When was this? 1992. Okay, so October 21st, 1992. 28. Okay, so in this episode of Unsolved Mysteries, we had the this case here, the mystery case. This was the psychic dreams case. Basically, people would be asleep and they would have, it'd be kind of like being able to see the future, I guess you could say. We have that case. We have the wanted case of the New Orleans serial killer, which we already saw. This Lost. This is it just says Lost, but I think it's Lost Loves. This is actually a very touching case. This is the savior of James Vernon. Basically, James Vernon, I don't know what his profession was, but he was in the throes of addiction. And I'm guessing that he was nearing rock bottom one time when he reached out. He called I think it was the suicide prevention hotline. And he talked to, here, let's actually click on it. He talked to one of the operators. And she went by, as you can see here, hold on. She went by the Nick. Seriously. She went by the name of Libby, and her last name was unrevealed. It's due to her job and everything. Oh, it's Lost Savior. Okay. Basically, he needed help, and he called the prevention hotline, and she basically helped talk him down, basically from that metaphorical edge that he was on, and basically he was trying to locate his savior, and thankfully he did. He did locate her. The results was that Libby called the telecenter the night of the broadcast, thanks to and talked to James, but she had to remain anonymous because she was still a counselor. He reports that he has been sober ever since. Thanks to her. Sadly, he did pass away on March 12th, 2011. So it is a touching case and everything. He found his savior. Ultimately, that's what is important. He did find the person that saved him. And then finally, we have the wanted case of JD Method. He was a notorious piece of shit that took advantage of everybody he came across. Now, let's go to Unsolved Mysteries. Now, oh, by the way, this was part of season 5, episode 135. Now, that's the weird thing. There wasn't 135 episodes in season 5 of Unsolved Mysteries. If there was, that would be like fucking awesome, because that means that they were releasing Unsolved Mysteries episodes every couple days. It isn't like that. When they say episode 135, I'm pretty sure that they're just referring to the overall amount of episodes that were produced up to that time. This was just the 135th episode. Now, when it comes to the, hold on, let me see here. The YouTube upload of Unsolved Mysteries. This is actually part of, let's see here. Let's pull this up. This is actually part of season 5, episode 6 of Unsolved Mysteries. Okay, so Unsolved Mysteries, season 5, episode 6. Let's see here. I'm going to mute it when it pulls up because I don't want to get copyrighted or anything. There it goes. And so basically the cases for this, I wish that they actually listed the cases here. They have a timeline or key moments, as you call it or want to call it, but it doesn't actually say what the case names are. So we'll have to kind of go through it this way. So basically we start off. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so this is the psychic dreams. So we have psychic dreams. Okay, this is the New Orleans murder. As you can see here, we have the where the bodies were located. Okay, this is the case of James Vernon, if I remember correctly, that we just talked about. Oh, yep, it is. There he is. Okay, this is JD Method. I think it closes off with JD Method, yeah. Oh, and then this is the, I think this is just the, right here. This is like a preview for the next episode. So basically, as you can see here, I think every case that was on the televised version of Unsolved Mysteries was actually part of the YouTube upload version of Unsolved Mysteries. And the thing is, sometimes cases will be omitted for some reason. It's never made known why certain cases are omitted from the film rights uploads and everything. So, but it looks like everything that was part of the televised airing of Unsolved Mysteries is part of the YouTube upload, which means you're getting pretty much the full experience that was on television. But that is it for this segment. Let's move on to the next segment, shall we? We have reached the end of another installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary, the case of the New Orleans serial killer. I gave you my thoughts, and everything. And, I find it kind of sad that to this day that nobody has been positively identified as the as the killer. Sorry. It's been over 30 years. It's been over 30 years, and this person is still out there possibly killing people. That's why I like to make these videos. It's just to keep these cases active, and hopefully one of these days somebody may hear something or they may remember something. And all it takes is literally that one person. That's all it takes. It's just one person to blow the case wide open. I still believe, like I said earlier, that killers do not go dormant. They always have that urge. It's just a matter of time. Unless the person is either already incarcerated, they are immobile because, like, say, due to illness, that they are stuck at home, or the killer may also be dead. The killer may also be dead. But if it's none of those issues, then they're still walking the streets, and that's a fucking scary thing for me to think about. But that is it. Another installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary is in the books. And we have another one to look forward to, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, I present to you a case that I have gained a lot of heat, I guess you could say, about, because I go against the popular opinion. That's one thing you'll learn about me if you are new to these videos. I do not share the same belief when it comes to a lot of these cases, and this case is one of them. I present to you the case of Cindy James. Basically, Cindy James was, and I think always will be, one of the worst cases of harassment ever that was covered on Unsolved Mysteries. Basically, you have a woman who basically just wanted to help children. She became a victim of a campaign of harassment and violence that spanned almost 10 years. There was recorded over 100 recorded incidents of harassment and roughly, I think, 5 or more cases of violent physical assaults on her. Ultimately, sadly, it ended up with Cindy being killed. Now, I say killed. The police believe that Cindy James committed suicide, and that, somehow she did this all to herself. I look at the evidence and I'm thinking, how the hell is this suicide? To me, it's not a suicide. This lady was murdered. And the issue is that a lot of people have with me is that I don't go with the idea of suicide. No, she was murdered. And I'll go more into it in the case, but basically, she was given, I think it was morphine. She was given an overdose of morphine. Somehow, ladies and gentlemen, while giving herself an overdose of morphine. She was able to hogtie herself. She was able to hogtie herself. Well, first dispose of the evidence. Keep in mind, she overdosed herself. She was able to get rid of the evidence. They never found the drugs or the needle or anything near her. They didn't even find it. She was able to overdose, get rid of the evidence, and hogtie herself before she expired. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think that she was brutally murdered, and to this day, I believe that the people who were responsible for doing it are still living with the rest of us. Anyway, here is the pre-show promo for that case.
For nearly 7 years, Cindy James was a victim of more than 100 separate incidents of harassment, including 5 violent physical attacks. Police suspected that Cindy staged the incidents herself. Then in 1989, Cindy was found dead, her hands and feet bound behind her back.
To me, this reminds me of like a horror movie. A horror, however you want to pronounce it. It reminds me of a movie like that. However, whereas in the movie, the victim would most likely have a happy ending, and that her tormentor would be either killed or, arrested, and that they have their happily ever after. This story did not have that. Cindy James was brutally murdered. But we're going to find out more about that in the next installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary. With that all said and done, I just want to say thank you to everybody who watches these videos and subscribes and everything. It means a lot to me. But I'm going to head on out and get this ready to upload. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse, wishing you all a great day. Stay safe, everybody. Peace out.